ASMR attack. I'm not comfortable with any of this.
And Amos rhymes with.
Hey, can I? I guess there's no other word for it. Can I brag real quick?
Brag away.
So there's a fine video that we dropped last night, and really the video is our next door neighbor has 55,000 VHS tapes, and so we did a tour of it.
Yeah.
But I'm rather pleased with the title on it because I was like, okay, there's got to be a bigger question to it, not like, hey, look at all these tapes. So I titled it, "What Happened to All Blockbuster's Tapes?"
Yeah.
And then that was a big question, right? And
that's
then,
a good example of a question in a headline versus the yes or no, right? There's no yes or no to that. You're like, well, I don't know what happened. Let me find out.
Yeah. And so in the first minute,
you find yourself saying every 17 hours a new Blockbuster opens, each store with upwards of 10,000 VHS tapes. There's one brief moment that they have the opportunity to buy Netflix for only $50 million. They laughed him out of the room.
Yes.
In just 6 years.
Are you just playing the video now?
2010, they go bankrupt.
Because all I hear is the video.
Why did they calcify? Why didn't they pivot? They're in the movies business, right? No, they're in the late fee business. $800 million a year in late fees on the VHS tapes. If you got no VHS tapes, you got no late fees to charge. That's what killed them. And when all the Blockbusters closed out...
Anyway, so it eventually gets to the point where I say everybody buys the tapes, but then at the end of that 1 minute, I reveal that the answer of where they went is over my shoulder.
It's there. Oh, that's great. Love it.
I was really proud of that, right?
That's really good.
It's like it asked a big world question. It told a story with a real surprise, the late fees, and then it reveals right over here.
I love that. I love that twist. Like, so what happened to all those tapes? They're there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's
really good.
There's no other word for it. That was just bragging.
You know, it's still bragging if it's true, but it's legitimate. It's justified. It's justified.
It is
I haven't done that one. Yeah. Raylan. All right. We ready to go?
Did you know that Rayland is a Vanderbilt?
Like Timothy Oliphant is a Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Huh.
Hold on. Let me double check this.
Thought he was an Oliphant. Huh? The Vanderbilts were big, like an Oliphant.
Conversation not found. Oh.
Conversation not found.
I deleted it on a different... Do you find yourself deleting conversations because you just don't want it to be part of your living memory in your GPT?
No, I haven't yet. I just don't say them. I just use Claude on a burner account.
I do. That is a clever hack to find out if a brand space is occupied or not. I'll open up a incognito browser, go to a GPT, and just say, who's that entity that blanks? And, you know, it's like blankety blank. And when it doesn't have a good answer, I'm like, soft target.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Vanderbilt.
He's a Vanderbilt. Huh. I won't hold that against him. But I will.
Are you normally anti-Vanderbilt?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm against all the robber barons.
It feels like being a Vanderbilt is the thing that's designed to make you like be impressed. So of course my contrary nature is like, well, I'm not going to be impressed, and then I'm going to be like, but I still like Timothy Oliphant, so I'm not going to hold it against him.
No, I think it's dope, man. It's like finding out he's I don't know, let's say hypothetically Darth Vader's son.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Genes aren't everything, Luke.
Luke Skywalker's a Nepo baby.
He really is. Totally is.
He had everything he needed handed to him.
Because your father was Darth Vader.
Because you were born with midichlorians.
Must
be nice.
I guess Darth Vader is the opposite of a Nepo baby because he didn't even have a father.
That's true. He hand waved himself into existence.
All right, let's get this rolling.
Ready.
Welcome to Cord Killers Reckoning. We killed all the cords And now we're looking around and saying, what do we do now? I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, dude. No need to find the real killer. We're gonna own it. We're not gonna hand wave nothing away.
Yeah. Yes, Yes, officer. I did know how fast I was killing those cords. But
yeah, you want to help me move these bodies? Let's go.
What do we do now? If you're new to the show, and we know we got some new folks recently, welcome in. And this is the show where we talk about the fact that TV is a mess and it's harder to navigate than ever. But if you know what you're doing, it's better than ever. It's both at the same time, Brian.
Yeah, well, certainly there are more opportunities than ever. You know what? Somebody said chaos a ladder. That's not true. Loneliness is a ladder. Not knowing where your next meal is coming from is a ladder. And that's what we solve for you here at Cord Killer's Reckoning.
All right, let's start it off with our supply run.
Supply run.
We will talk about Disney earnings a little later. We're not going to dig deep and get boring about them, but we're going to mention how they're doing with Disney Plus streams and all that stuff. But let's focus on one statement from CEO Bob Iger from the earnings call. He said that they are excited about giving Disney Plus users the ability, and I will now quote but not imitate Bob Iger, to create user-generated content and to consume user-generated content, mostly short form, from others. When he says user-generated content, he's talking specifically about generated content, AI-generated content created by a prompt from the user using their own intellectual property. Disney has been proactively protective of its IP on services that let you make generated content, like Character AI or Midjourney or Sora. Variety notes that this user-generated content that Iger's talking about could include games, not just videos. Brian, does this end up being a sideline feature that we all forget about someday that's like, oh, that was a weird thing Disney tried? Or do you think this could become a content pillar where you got your TVs and your movies and your user gen stuff?
It is a strange time, Tom, because increasingly I can't directly tell you what it is that Disney owns. Like, they own characters, but they don't own stories, except for they do own their versions of stories because they're just taking old Grimm's fairy tales and retelling them, but with this particular angle on the eyes. And they own them in this media that they don't support that is dead, and some of it is public domain and some of it isn't. Here's what all of this feels like to me is, first of all, everybody talks about the good old days. There was no structure in the good old days. There were no good old days. What there was a constantly pivoting, shifting frontline battle between people who want to make money on ideas and they want the notoriety of it, but they don't want other people making too much money off of it at their expense. So I created this moving picture show. I own it. I have the copyright of it. Then there became characters. Then there became, upon the death of the author, plus 35 years, plus 70 years, and on and on. All of that ran out the clock to where now, if I'm Disney, I'm pivoting the discussion. And now I'm going to argue that I never cared about the moving picture shows. I never cared about any one piece of art. What I cared about is the essence of Donald Duckness. And anybody who wants to cross a certain threshold of Donald Duckness in their art needs to pay me a toll. Luckily, I've created an entire Donald Duck playground where you can make Donald Duck do anything you want, and I'm charging admission to it. Hi, my name is Ted Disney. Did I lose you? Was that too mind-blowing?
All I heard was there right at the end. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that I just was so mind-blowing that you had no counter argument. I have no idea what the experience was like for the folks at home, but I'm glad this happened while we were on StreamYard, so I don't blame the setup that I'm cooking up for next week.
No, good point. Just ChatGPT, can you summarize what Brian just said?
Basically, what I gave a scatter shot of different examples of Disney trying to have it both ways.
I heard Donald Duckness.
Yeah. Is the art the actual product, or is the art the idea behind the product? And now that technology is causing the problem of anybody can make Donald Duck do anything, they are also having technology be the solution, in that they will have their playground. It's kind of like the way streaming was able to combat piracy by being the easier option. Doing everything inside the Disney playground will be the easier option. But I suspect that a new type of legal dispute about what they're owning exactly, one that, I don't know, supersedes, is bigger than copyright, one that doesn't worry about a creator's time on this earth or any of that stuff.
Are you talking about like trying to pay the creator who worked for Disney and came up with the IP? Is that?
I'm saying right now, whenever something gets created, you have the creator's life plus 70 years, right?
Yeah.
But this could be, because we're seeing a new, let's go back to my initial question. When it comes to generative AI, what does Disney own, as best you understand, Tom?
Okay, so there are lots of ways to answer that depending on how they implement this. But the current situation, as I understand it, is that Disney owns the likenesses and the characters that they have copyrighted, right? And there's all kinds of, we'll actually have a story that, like, sometimes that becomes complicated depending on how it was copyrighted and where it came from. But, you know, for Donald Duck and Star Wars and Marvel, Disney's like, hey, you want to do anything with this instance of Iron Man? That's us. You need our permission to do it. And so what the story is Disney saying, we'll give you a legitimate way to play in that playground within Disney Plus. What I'm guessing is that the terms of service will say anything you make in our playground belongs to us, not to you.
Yes. And what I'm saying is, on top of that, however much the two of us are able to conceive of in terms of infinitely lightning style splitting into increasingly fragmented little pockets, I guarantee you that's barely the beginning of how many interesting ways they're going to figure out how to monetize their various IP and characters. I think that this is not really a battle about making the videos. It's the beginnings of an argument about owning ideas. Like, literally, you can't. Because, of course, Disney's going to want to have it both ways. They're going to want everybody to be talking and thinking about Disney properties, and yet, at the same time, not allow a single bit of Disney properties to be fed into LLMs that will guide what people are able to talk and think about.
They do want Disney intellectual property to be fed into LLMs that they control. That is an interesting part of this as well. If you don't understand how these things work, a large language model, if you just go to ChatGPT, use the free version, that was trained on a bunch of stuff. And there's legal cases going on about when was the training allowed and when was it not and when was it fair use. And that's a whole other subject than what we're talking about right now. What Disney is wanting to say is you can't create something using that trained model that imitates us. Like, if you go to Sora, OpenAI's video generation tool, and say, make Donald Duck, it'll say, nah, I think that's a third-party thing that Disney owns. Won't even say Disney. We think it's a third-party thing. We won't let you do that. What Disney is saying is, we will let you do that on Disney Plus, and we will train a model. We might work with someone to train a model specifically on our stuff so it does it really well and it's authorized and you can do it in here. But you can't do it out there, even if it's capable of doing it. It's the output that Disney is focused on there, as well as the input. Here, they can control the input. They can train their own model, and then the inferencing, the part where you ask it to do something, also would be under their control, is what I'm guessing. What I'm curious about, too, is whether Disney has contracted with somebody about this. If So who? Or is this something that they are putting in their earnings report to be like, hey, OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, whoever, you want to talk? We'd love to talk. I have a feeling OpenAI and them are already talking, probably talking to multiple people.
We could keep it to just like sub 40 seconds of Galaxy Brain, but I suspect, Tom, and you could push back. I'd love to hear the counter on this if there is one. I think Disney, number one, I believe they want to be fed into the LLMs, and they also want the thing to shut it down and say Disney owns that. So in other words, like if they, I think their words are going to say, don't you train on our stuff. But what if an AI came along that didn't train, literally did not know what a Donald Duck was, instead came up with constantly new iterations that were legally distinct because it would be provable in court that the AI had no knowledge of what a Donald Duck was? I think Disney would not like that. I think they want it to be fed on their stuff so that it could generate, and then the cop portion of the LLM can say, whoa, that awesome thing is too awesome because it's owned by Disney.
I actually don't. I think that the question isn't, do you want it to be trained on your stuff or not? I think the question is, we would like to be paid if you train on our stuff. And we would also like to train on our stuff ourselves. And we kind of don't care if the public model can train on our stuff or not, because we're going to train one on our stuff. So it doesn't really matter if this idea that there will be these LLMs that are general purpose, I think goes away at some point. And LLMs become more and more like special purpose. And so they will say, oh, your search engine model, yes, we would like that trained on our stuff. We'll give you a bargain rate or just an authorization for that. The stuff that can actually output Donald Duck doing things, yeah, that's only going to be the model we control in-house.
That's interesting. I kind of want to do a 30-second extension on this idea, because then, like, truly, it's a pay-to-play reality. Like, somebody could live and exist in a reality where no Disney anything. Like, you could just like
no, actually, no, that would not be true.
What I mean is like let's say I'm imagining not the reality that we have right now, in which there are very few players in the space, but imagine where there's a balkanization, a giant fragmentation, and your AI agent that handles all of your stuff, you can choose which of the things it knows about and doesn't know about. You could, in the near future, create an AI reality where everything you feed and consume just doesn't acknowledge that the Disney Corporation or any of its owned properties exists.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in practicality, you're going to go out and say, I'm not using a model for anything, right? And the only models that Disney will be interested in making sure that they've given authorization to, they'll give authorization to, because that's useful. But this idea that there is a model that everybody's using, I think is not going to be true for more than 5 years, let's say.
I agree. And what I'm extrapolating on after your assertion is I'm speculating on what chimera AI models would look like, composed of different pieces of owned IPs.
And where my head's at is they are a healthcare model, an entertainment model. I have the Disney model where I can make Disney stuff, and I have a different model where I can do this. So you don't have the general purpose model you were talking about that doesn't understand Disney. You just have a bunch of different models that you call upon, that you don't even call upon. Your agent calls upon, because you're like, I want to make a Donald Duck video. And your agent goes, great, let me find the Donald Duck model. Okay, great. Let me do a micro transaction to approve that. Here you go. Boom. Down you got make your Donald Duck thing. Go. I
guess where I'm angling towards is, in the future, 10, 15 years, there could be a Cord Killers in which we're rolling our eyes at yet another carriage dispute about whether or not Disney IP belongs in the brain of this popular agent.
Maybe, but I doubt it. I think it ends up just ends up being a thing you can use or not use, like basically saying I can go to Disney Plus and watch Disney content, or I cannot. Right? We don't get upset that Disney content isn't on Netflix anymore. Like, we just know, like, oh yeah, it's all over there. That's where you get it.
Yeah, I think I'm just magnetically drawn to the both sidesness of, because it rings. One of my favorite periods in Cord Killer's history was when HBO loved the notoriety of being pirated, but also was refusing to make it legally available.
I know you're working really hard to turn this into a piracy conversation, and I'm sorry I'm thwarting you on that.
Oh, no. I don't even know that it's the piracy that I like. It's just, the closest comp that I
The
feel.
original question that I was curious about is forget about that side of like who gets to do what. I'm a Disney Plus user. Am I going to use this? Am I going to want to make a lot of content? And for the whatever number of Disney Plus users, that answer is yes, because it won't be all of them, but like however many there are, does that become something that everybody views? Does it become something where you're like, and that was my original question, alongside TV and movies, is there a user-generated pillar in Disney Plus that whether you like making it or not, you're like, oh yeah, I love looking at that stuff. There's really interesting things over there. Somebody has made a spin on this or that property in Disney that I find really enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that it is not just a side hustle that will be profitable. I think it will become the main thing. I think that all things being equal, as everybody gets more 4 and 8 year olds in their lives, they will always be wanting to make.
They're 5 and 9 year olds now.
5 and 9 year olds. Sorry.
I don't think it becomes that popular, and it's because of this walled garden situation that we're talking about. And this does tie back into what we've been talking about up to now, which is great. You know what was really cool? I want Iron Man to beat Superman. Bzz, sorry. No, the Disney Plus model can't include Superman. No, it actually can't include any people because that would be a liability for the Disney Corporation. So you're not going to be able to put your niece in there either. Really, you can put yourself, or you could put a Disney character. So R2-D2 can meet Donald Duck. That's cool. But anything outside the Disneyverse, forget it. And I think that kills it. That you're gonna have to have licensing of Disney out to broader things like Sora, for it to become compelling.
So in this case, the frustration that you're bumping up against is you have Disney characters and other fictional characters. I don't think that'll be a problem. I think this is an opportunity for Disney characters and the viewer to become the character. Whether now in this case you were talking about usage rights of the actual likeness of the viewer at home. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about hey, this is my daughter. This agent already knows everything about my daughter. Please make this whole episode just tailored to her. And then it already happens. The episode was already shot.
That's definitely something they're going to do, is like they're going to figure out a way to let you put your daughter into the story.
Yes, or
somehow,
be the
right?
subject of the story, or have all of the ancillary little things that happened. For example, we watched Taxi, and there's a moment that he called, and Portugal was a significant part of it. They would just replace that country with a country that's more culturally relevant to whoever the viewer is.
Yeah, I think Disney's going to try to do this, but I think it's safety valves. I mean, look at what OpenAI is doing with Sora, where it is constantly criticized for being wide open for violating intellectual property. And yet you and I know that if you try to make something on Sora, you have to work really hard to get around those limits. And most of the time, if you're in good faith just trying to make something, you run across a content guardrail that you were like, oh, I wasn't even trying to violate a content guardrail there. I think Disney, who's going to be very averse to even more of that kind of stuff, is going to make a product that just keeps running into like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. And it's not going to be as fun.
Okay, maybe this is where we're diverging, is you're talking about actual today Disney, whereas I'm wrestling with imagined future eventually.
No, yes,
Disney.
the news is today. What I like to do is talk about what's happening today, evaluate
what
that.
I like to do is extrapolate and think about forever.
But you didn't let me finish. I like to talk about what's happening today, talk about what we think about that, and then extrapolate before. And you were like, that's the boring stuff. Let me get right to the interesting stuff.
I leapt too far ahead. But in terms of short term, I don't think they'll charge. I think it'll be just a bonus thing. I think it'll be
I think you're right. I don't think they'll charge, and I also don't think it'll be used very well. But We shall see.
Oh, I disagree on that. Cordkillers@gmail.com, though. Those are the real judges.
I mean, those are the real judges, but then there's the even realer judges.
Yeah, you're talking about George Washington. His vote is the only one that matters. Sometimes he's in our pockets. Other times he's not in our pockets. My question to you, Tom, what's up with all those times George Washington doesn't decide to get in our pocket? What's he got against our pocket?
Yeah. You know what I have against George Washington? You know why I've never liked George Washington, Brian?
What's
you know
your
why
beef?
I hate the founding father of the United States of America? Because
Outside
he's
of the
on
fact
the dollar. I need a Lincoln, a man like Lincoln in my pocket. That's what I want.
Yeah, you know what? I don't just hate George Washington for his naked chin and the fact that his head looks like a mushroom. I hate him because he's not even half the man Lincoln is.
Yeah.
And
Let's not even get into talking about Alexander Hamilton.
No, he's better than both of them put together.
Yeah.
Literally. But the important part is all of them belong in our pockets, and there's only
All of
one
them.
way.
We will welcome all of them.
There's only one way to stop us from doing this bit all night long, and that's to go to patreon.com/cornkillers. Keep us loud, live, and independent. You'll get your own RSS feed. You'll get early access to the full experience and exclusive access to the After Talk segment, in which we'll almost exclusively be continuing this bit, talking about all the various presidents. Turns out, best one of them all isn't even a president.
Yeah, right. You know, at least you could do is spare a Thomas Jefferson. All right, let's move on to the search part. So this is the portion of the show where we talk about stuff you can watch, and there's a trailer out for Fallout Season 2, which premieres on Amazon Prime Video on December 17th, and then new episodes will come out every week until the finale airs streamed on February 4th. Brian, did you watch the trailer?
Looks great. I actually had the in the wild experience of thinking I was pulling up the old trailer to show someone, and then suddenly realized I was watching a new trailer.
Good timing.
Kyle MacLachlan, a bit zany, looks a bit like a mad inventor. I hope they don't cartoonize him, because he was already he was a cartoon good guy and a cartoon bad guy. But then again, it's a zany, Fallout is already a zany world. Fallout New Vegas had a reputation. Each Vegas iteration was zanier than the regulars, so wouldn't surprise me if they got a little wacky.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a community of people without noses. There's a little zaniness going on in there.
Although we do get a strong hint that it's a credible possibility that the Ghouls family is alive.
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to make a major portion of this season. Well, I for one, am looking forward to trying Season 2, because I thoroughly enjoyed Season 1, as I know you did as well. Hearst Network has commissioned the UK's Particle 6 to make a TV series. Now, you may say, okay, that belongs on Cord Killers, I guess. But what's so big about this particular thing? Tilly Norwood is the thing that's the big thing about Particle 6. If you've been following this, you heard us talk about Tilly Norwood, a virtual actor that Particle 6 said would soon pick an agent to represent it. I don't have any news on whether Tilly Norwood has picked an agent, but Hearst has commissioned Particle 6 to make a 10-episode short-form series for the History Channel in the Netherlands called Streets of the Past, and the streets are going to be virtual. They're going to be generated. Generative models will be used to transport the host of the show to some of Netherlands' most famous historical streets, squares, and canal sides starting in January. So this is just an example of what we've been talking about, Brian, where people will be averse to AI generated stuff until it makes financial sense, and then they'll want to use it.
Yeah. Well, this is, first of all, to remind everyone, I don't think we were very impressed with the announcement when it came out. We thought
the Tilly Norwood announcement, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We thought that this was a pretty typical new technology, breathlessly announced that you represented as though it's a human kind of thing. However, this is a very congruent fit. It is
right.
It is a highly niche story to be told that absolutely would not be profitable to make in a visually rich and interesting manner. And if you are going to do it, AI is a pretty good way to do it. We have maps. Apply this map onto this footage of what a street looks like. Speculate this, that, and the other. What are you going to put actual human talent in there? Why would you, when you have the likeness rights to this fictitious character that you own? And maybe I wonder if
they are going to have a human host. And the human host is going to go visit the place, but then background characters, he might even interview some characters. Those will be virtual. Those will be ones that are generated. But the bigger deal seems to be, instead of having a matte painting or a reenactment that was expensive to make because you had to dress up a set, they're just going to be like, yeah, make this street look like it did in 1620. And now we could put our guy in front of it and he can interact with it.
Yeah, everyone's going to hate it in theory. For some reason, and then watch it in practice. For some reason, the comp that pops to mind is the unlikely, incredible success of the very campy 1960s Batman series. At the end of the day, that was not a very good show.
Yeah.
But it was extremely colorful at a time that if you bought a color TV, what did you want to see? Color.
Yeah. I wonder. I have a feeling this might not look that great, honestly. Like you'll be able to pick it apart, but if you're not invested in picking it apart, you'll watch it and probably won't even notice. You'll be like, oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. Wonder how they showed those
especially
streets.
In a world where we have an entire tier of programming where producers are explicitly told, make it easier to half watch while you're ironing.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's kind of what this sort of thing is meant for. We've been talking a lot about the show Pluribus. Apple has released part of the fantasy romance novel from Pluribus, Blood Song of Waikaro, by Carol Sturka. You can get it on Apple Books. Apple TV actually gave me a notification on my phone to tell me that I could download it. It's an 11-page chapter. It's not the whole book. It is an excerpt from the 4th book in the saga, and it includes an exclusive letter from Carol that starts, "We just finished our tour of the book," which makes me wonder, well, then why is this in the book? But I guess it's in the excerpt, so that makes sense.
Yeah. This is great. I love that. I love TV shows that creep out of the box and into the universe.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, especially well executed. I think last week we called the phone number to talk
yes,
to. We
right.
called DC and they addressed us as Carol.
Hello, Carol. We had talked about the fact that we were hearing that Major League Soccer might want to change its agreement with Apple. One thing Major League Soccer has done is changed when its season is going to run. They're going to align it with European soccer leagues, so it'll run fall through spring instead of right now where it runs through the summer. That is not the only thing, though. Starting with the 2026 Major League Soccer season, all MLS matches will be available to all Apple TV subscribers at no additional cost. So you still got to pay for Apple TV, but when you do, you won't have to add MLS on. You'll just get MLS as part of your subscription.
Now, Apple TV already had some baseball on there, right?
Yeah, they had Friday Night Baseball, usually 2 games every Friday that you got at no additional cost. For a while, they were streaming those without even having to have an Apple TV subscription, but later they put them behind the paywall. But you didn't have to pay extra for those.
Yeah, I think this feels to me, and you can tell me, and this is all wild speculation, but this feels like a let's have a seat at the sports table.
I'm guessing MLS didn't like the viewership numbers. They were like, we like the money you're paying us. That part's fine, but it's hurting the sport that not as many people watch this. Now, just so you know, MLS was still showing matches on FX. It was showing it on cable as part of this agreement, but limited number of matches. If you wanted all the matches, you had to get Apple TV's special MLS package. And MLS is, wanting to spread and grow the sport interest in the sport. So somehow they convinced Apple to do this. I don't know if Apple just said, hey, it makes more financial sense for us to not have to manage separate billing, or if they changed the amount that they had to pay or something like that, where it was more dependent on the number of subscriptions to Apple TV, but at a lower rate. Could have been something like that. But whatever it is, it's now just included. The way if you get Peacock, you get NHL, right? You get NBA. You don't have to pay extra there either.
I do love those moments where two entities get into an agreement and then it's not clear which one owes the other.
Yeah.
and you can see them, from the sidelines. We get to kind of eat popcorn and watch as they suss out who's getting the value.
We are getting a new Star Trek movie that is being developed by the folks behind the Dungeons and Dragons movie, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. They also wrote the Spider-Man Homecoming script. This will not be in the Chris Pine Kelvinverse. So when we heard that they were ending that, that's why. They are giving it to these folks to create. It's also not connected to previous TV series or any of the previous movies with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy.
So where, if you were to guess and speculate wildly, Tom, do you think that this story takes place? Because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I loved Homecoming. Both of them were big properties that on purpose told kind of level one character stories, very small character stories, or brought them to a smaller domain. What might that look like in Star Trek?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My thought on this was they were giving them freedom by saying this and saying like, look, we don't want you to try to shoehorn this in to anything, whether it's the Chris Pine Kelvinverse or whether it's the much harder to shoehorn things into Prime universe. We got alternate universes. We have shown them multiple times. Write your story and we'll fit it into an alternate universe. No problem. So I think they're just giving them freedom to write. And if these guys have freedom to write, maybe they're going to write, I don't know, wouldn't it be cool if they wrote a story from the perspective of a civilization making first contact with the Federation?
To be honest, in the chat, Derek Ambrose said it'd probably take place in space, but that's exactly what I was tickling at. Like, I'll bet it would surprise me not at all if we saw space, it was an aspirational, just barely touching it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Imagine a space race moonshot entirely from an alien civilization, disconnected from everything, and then somehow we're wrapped into it. Or I don't know.
Yeah, so some other planet that's not Earth that is launched their first warp-capable vessel, and then what happens when suddenly the Federation comes knocking saying, hey, we detected that warp signature of yours. Guess what? There's a bunch of aliens out here. And then you go from there. You could tell some pretty cool stories that way as what happens to that civilization as they get replicators, as they get all this technology.
Well, and within Star Trek world, the advancement of warp technology is sort of a marker that, okay, as an alien race, you have your act together. What if this would appear at the surface to have been an exception to that rule, and they probably shouldn't have been contacted because it's not clear they have their act together?
Maybe they do something that gives a false impression that they have warp and they don't. That could be interesting
or
too.
haven't let go of some distasteful aspect of society.
Yeah. I'm white on the left and black on the right. He's clearly black on the left and white on the right. FX has confirmed that Alien Earth will get a second run of episodes. Production for the second season is moving, though. They produced the first season in Thailand. This new season will be produced in London.
Did you finish that first season of it?
I never watched the beginning of it.
Tom, it's so good that I'm still slow walking it. I'm only 7 down, and I'm just savoring every one. I told you I nearly cried during the second one. It's great. It makes you feel things that an Alien franchise isn't supposed to make you feel.
Yeah. I have heard nothing but good things. It is on the list. I swear. Shogun will be in production of season 2 in Vancouver starting in January, with both returning faces, obviously, as well as some new folks. If you're interested in casting, you can find lots of information about that out there. It will be set 10 years after season 1. So we're going to jump ahead 10 years with our English captain probably more well-established within the shogunate.
There's a lot of excitement on this. In a rare unified press release, all of the Japanese actor from Shogun issued the following statement. Whoa.
Okay, fine.
If you watch Shogun, you know that that's accurate.
Apple TV's series Monarch Legacy of Monsters returns February 27th. There was a teaser for this. Did you watch it?
Yes, it's an abomination. And I don't mean the giant monsters. I mean trying to shoot something in selfie cam version with letterbox cinematics trappings, but also forcing it into a 16:9 box on YouTube. I don't know what you're doing. I don't trust you with this franchise. What can you do?
Shot on iPhone, though.
Was it really?
I don't know. I just said that because you made it sound like a selfie thing. Sony Pictures has acquired screen rights to the Chinese brand Labubu. You know the Labubu dolls, right? The little, like, they look like not Richard Scarry, Where the Wild Things Are kind of things.
Yeah.
The Labubu franchise is huge, and they're going to make a film, potentially a franchise out of it. At least they're going to try. Sony's going to do it or die trying.
By God, if there's a franchise out there, we will squeeze life out of it. Gator Gum, the movie.
Speaking of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, hits theaters April 2026.
I couldn't finish it, Tom.
In the trailer, you didn't finish the trailer?
I couldn't finish the trailer. I got too angry.
Did you meet Rosalina, voiced by Brie Larson?
No.
Oh, well, that's the only good part.
Okay.
Bowser Jr., voiced by Benny Safdie, is okay too. But did you watch the first Super Mario movie?
No, I heard all the memes by way of osmosis from the kids.
Yeah. All right. How about this? Jake Paul is going to be back for a Netflix live fight. He will take on two-time unified heavyweight world champion and Olympic gold medalist Anthony Joshua. Jake versus Joshua Judgment Day will take place live from Miami, Florida on Netflix December 19th.
Tom, I don't know if this is a surprise to you or not, but I'm 100% here for all of the clown fights. As long as people care and as long as people are trying, then whether or not they're talented or good, they're qualified in different ways. Like, I believe Jake Paul has already started putting on the show. I'm already missing the fight. It's already started, whether it's on the modality of X or YouTube or whatever. Like, the performance has already begun.
Yeah. Jake Paul will be president someday. That's what I think. Oof. Comcast is reviving the NBC Sports cable channel. This is an interesting spin out of the whole Versant thing. So if you don't know, they are spinning out all of the cable channels from NBC as a new company called Versant. That is why MS Now, which we'll get to in a second, is the new name for MSNBC. Versant will house everything but Bravo, and it won't house NBC News or the sports that NBC is going to retain the rights to for Peacock. And so because they're spinning out all of their other channels, NBC is like, actually, we do need a cable channel for the sports we're keeping for Peacock. So that's going to be NBC Sports. They're going to bring the NBC Sports channel back, the one they retired just a few years ago. It's already available on YouTube TV. They are negotiating for placement on other services, and you'll be able to watch golf, stock car racing, Premier League soccer, WWE, NBA, WNBA, college basketball, and golf, of course, because they are keeping some of those golf rights over there as well. I said NHL with Peacock earlier, which is totally wrong. NHL is on Warner Brothers. But anyway, the NBC Sports is back. Yay.
Well, so this is a complete reversal, or it's just something that wasn't really addressed and is now being clarified in a definite...
I'm sure it's not a like, oh my gosh, we forgot to have a place for sports.
Right, because I mean, when you're making announcements like this, kind of like speaking a thing makes it into reality, and then you go and you see the reaction to it.
Well, and this isn't an announcement, right? Like we do this a lot where Deadline reports a thing and then I say it and then it sounds like, well, NBC's stupid for saying it that way. It's like, well, first of all, Deadline said it a certain way and then I reinterpreted it. NBC never said anything about it. NBC just said, hey, guess what? NBC Sports is going to have all this great sports stuff. It's awesome. And it's Deadline and me are the ones going like, I guess they figured they needed a place for all that sports. But yeah, so it was a part of this deal that I hadn't thought of before, honestly. That I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna want to have those sports on cable still. So if they're getting rid of most of their channels, they're gonna have to have a new outlet for that. And they're keeping the name NBC Sports with Comcast, so it makes sense. That's what they'd call it.
Yeah.
However, MSNBC is going with Versant, so they can't continue to use the NBC name. They have changed their name to MS Now, as we've talked about. The programs will no longer play on Peacock either. So I was of the opinion that they'd probably license this stuff out to Peacock and keep it there, but they are not. MS Now will be available to pay TV subscribers on its mobile app, Roku, tvOS, Fire TV, Android TV, and Xumo connected apps. Xumo is a Comcast-owned app, so it's on a Comcast property through Xumo, just not through Peacock. And you can find video on the website, which is now ms.now. I looked up msnow.com, and it's like a Korean sports equipment manufacturer, so that's why they couldn't get that one.
We'll see how long that lasts until they want to take like a $10,000 payday or something.
I don't know. Versant doesn't have the money to throw around that motorized snow vehicles might get a payday or might not. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll know whether or not they're playing to get paid if it suddenly becomes a porn site. Then that's like a press release saying, be a real shame if your new name was associated with some bizarre stuff.
I just found it humorous that msnow.com with motorized snowmobiles.
Is that a Y, of course.
Was like msnow.com.
Well, by the way, I am surprised that this quickly I don't hate the name MS Now. I knew I hated it before, but I also knew that I would probably evaporate.
Yeah.
On that hate. Like names have a funny way of
I'm starting to get used to it. Yeah. It is interesting. They're letting CNBC continue to be called CNBC, even though it also is being spun out into Versant as well. They just can't use the Peacock logo anymore. Willie Scott reminded me of that in the chat. Thank Willie. Nintendo game director and legend Shigeru Miyamoto posted a few first look photos from the live action adaptation of Legend of Zelda. So you get to see Bo Bragason as the princess. You get to see Benjamin Evan Ainsworth as Link. And the news is filming's on track and it will still come out May 7th, 2027. A couple years to wait still.
This is interesting. How many people with tattoos do you think are very nervous about this being bad?
People with tattoos?
Oh, yeah. I see a lot of Zelda tattoos out there.
Oh,
and
okay.
I know that once a fandom hits the level of tattoos, they get real bristly about remakes and stuff. And I didn't think they would come for me. And then I looked at my Fallout watch face as Fallout got close. Thankfully, they landed the plane. But I wonder if there's that general anxiety about it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think there's tattoo or not. I think there's a lot of anxiety about this. These photos are a good idea because they come from Miyamoto, right? So immediately you're going to be like, who's putting that guy I love? Okay, cool. And they're beautiful. They're well selected where you're like, okay, that does look very pretty. And that does kind of look like Zelda and kind of looks like, okay, like this was good. This is kind of taking some of the wind out of the anger sails early. You can still mess it up though. So you got to stick the landing, like you said.
Yeah, that's interesting. It makes me want to believe that the real masterpiece, no matter how good the movie is whoever's in charge of managing this narrative for all of the fans.
Right. Yes, Amos.
I have lots of tattoos. I'm very nervous about the quality of this movie.
There we go. See, we knew it. Now we have man on the street confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you, Amos.
All right, let's get to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
So yesterday, Brian gave me a call and said, do you know about Death by Lightning? And I was like, I don't think I do. And I asked, what is it? And he said, it's a show on Netflix. You should just go watch it. And I'm not going to tell you much else. So I said, well, you know what? Brian's pretty good with these things. And I need to spend the next 3 hours making soup. So what I did was put Death by Lightning on my phone and went through the process of boiling some chicken stock and making soup while I watched the first 2.25 episodes of Death by Lightning, which is really fun. I will I'm going to respect your wishes, Brian, and not say too much about this, but it is historical. Like you have to love you have to love U.S. history, but if you do, I think you're really going to love this.
Well, and to be honest, I was only precious about keeping it secret just because I knew that you specifically had an affinity for many of the actors in it. I knew that it was Americana esoterica that you would love, and it's just the right amount of over the top, produced by Benioff and Weiss. It's got Tom from Succession. It's got who's Chester Arthur?
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. That's right. As a matter of fact, it was so much fun to have made it all the way through the first episode, and I'm only halfway through the second episode.
Betty Gilpin from
that they give Chester Arthur's name, and I'm like, of course. Look at those mutton chops.
Yeah. Honestly, a pitch that your pitch worked, obviously. A pitch that would have worked was, Tom, do you want to watch a TV show based on James Garfield and Chester Arthur? And I would have been like, hell yeah, I do. Where do I sign up? And I think one of the genius things they've done here is take two presidents that nobody knows anything about. They are always the joke presidents when you're like, wanting to make a joke about presidencies by invoking someone that no one ever thinks about. The only thing, if people know anything about Chester A. Arthur, it's that he served 2 non-consecutive terms and was the only president to do so until recently. James A. Garfield, on the other hand, was assassinated, and most people don't know that, and they're basing the premise on that. So they're telling parallel stories, and they set it up with like, hey, there was this assassination of this president. Everyone's forgotten that, but they've also forgot the assassin. But the story is crazy. Let's tell it to you, and that really works.
Yeah, it's great. I liked it a lot. Only 1.5 episodes in it. There's only 4 episodes total. It's got a unique flavor, unique vibe.
Yeah. Pete is saying, no, that was Grover Cleveland. I think it's the non-consecutive terms was Grover Cleveland. So I apologize to both Grover Cleveland and Chester A. Arthur. There is nothing that you will remember about Chester A. Arthur other than perhaps that he was president.
How wild that like my permanent memories of Chester A. Arthur are being written right now, courtesy of Netflix. Everything I know about Chester A. Arthur, I know that he was a regular of a prostitute. I know that he's a ruffian, a scoundrel who collects pay and was a customs collector in New York.
Yeah. Well, folks, I highly recommend Death by Lightning. Also, it's only 4 episodes. It's a limited series, so you're not in for a long haul here. And to be honest, I just couldn't stop. I was like, this is good. Yeah, keep it coming. It's got some fun parallels to present day, but they aren't like hammering you over the head with them. Parallels to present day, and I don't think you've gotten to all of them yet, but you will.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. But the general horse trading vibe that you get, is familiar. If you like, the House of Cards kind of high stakes, machinations. It's
horse
all there.
Trading
and by the way, just a weaponized, time-traveling, simpering mound of sycophancy with mentally unstable, bipolar Tom Wombegans or
Wamsgams. Yeah,
Wamsgam. Yeah. Matthew McFadyen is crushing it. He's great.
Yeah. He's so good. Did you get to the part where they show up at the press shows up at Garfield's house?
Yes, and that's how the wife finds out.
Yeah, and it's like
unbelievably endearing.
Even before television and radio, there would be a reason for a bunch of people with their notepads, to show up and bother someone to try to get a quote, right?
And of course, because he presents as not really wanting it, he insists that he's only going to campaign from his own front porch, and it's I don't know, it's very compelling. I'm here for it.
If you got something we should be on the lookout for, folks, send it along. We'd love to hear it. cordkillers@gmail.com. So, Brian, how are things going in advance of Black Friday?
Oh, my goodness. Is Black Friday almost here already?
It's a week from this Friday, I think. Yes.
So we have... It's been a whirlwind. Okay, I'll tell you about this part. I made a very, very good magic trick, the Brian Brushwood book test. If you Google it, you're going to find it. it is a masterpiece of design. You could not know anything about magic and do the quality of magic that you see on the Tonight Show. And you can watch the clips of it that was performed on the Today Show. And normally it's very expensive. It's $400 per book. It's $1,200 for a set. But there's one every so often, every couple of years, we begin a run. And while they're running, we can make as many as we want. And so during that time, I make it available to high-end enthusiasts at half price. So if you go to scamstuff.com, even if you're not a talented touring stage magician, if you're a high-end enthusiast, if you want to do world-class magic at an unbelievably discounted price, head on over to scamstuff.com. That's gear for the modern rogue. And yes, buckle up. We will do a Black Friday thing, but in order to get on that list, in order to hear all about it, you got to head on over to signup.scamstuff.com. That's signup.scamstuff.com, and I will email you all the bargains as soon as them bargains are coming. Heave-ho.
Yay, the bargain wagon's coming down the track, everybody. Check it out. All right, now let's scan the horizon.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
As we predicted last time on Cord Killers, Disney and YouTube have reached an agreement, and Disney channels, including ESPN and FX, are now back on YouTube TV. So think back on all those dire predictions some of you or some people were making. Guess what? Everything's fine now. It's usually after the deal is done that you get an idea of what the dispute was actually about, because they say all kinds of things during the dispute. It looks like this was about YouTube TV integrating Disney digital properties. So YouTube TV subscribers can now use their account to connect to ESPN Unlimited, which is that standalone version of ESPN. You don't have to pay extra for it. You just log into ESPN, associate your account to YouTube TV, and then you can use the ESPN app to watch all the stuff. Some of the ESPN on-demand and live exclusive programming will be in YouTube TV. Stuff that you would otherwise have to get from the app will now also be available in YouTube TV. And you can now add the Disney Plus Hulu bundle to YouTube TV. So like the way you would add like HBO to your YouTube TV subscription, you can add Disney Plus Hulu and then use the Disney Plus Hulu app to watch it. YouTube TV subscribers will get their previous DVR recordings restored as well. So if you were worried that they would go away during the dispute, they kept them and they're all back now.
I'm gonna say this out loud so that I plant the seed and it becomes a habit. Whenever everyone starts acting squirrely and fisticuffsmanship starts happening between carriage, blah, 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 it's always sports. Eventually, it's always sports.
Kind of does, because that's where the money is, right? So if you follow the money, you end up at sports, and that's definitely what this was about. And this was about customer relationship. That's the other thing this stuff is often about in the streaming era, is like, I want to handle what my customers get. No, I want to handle what my customers get. And then they have to figure out some data sharing agreements and say, okay, well, I'll add your thing to my platform if you add my thing to your platform, or if I can't, then cut me in. That's really what this was about. This was about Disney Plus wanting a good deal to be an add-on to YouTube TV and wanting to be able to authenticate YouTube TV subscribers on ESPN, where YouTube TV doesn't get visibility into what they do unless Disney shares that, which I'm guessing they probably did.
Yeah.
Disney also announced its latest earnings. They now have 195.7 million Disney Plus Hulu subscriptions. That's up 12.4 million over last quarter. Disney Plus Solo subscribers made up 3.8 million of that 12.4 million increase. You now have 131.6 million total for D+, 59.3 million in the US and Canada. That is up 1.5 million. So if you were wondering if Jimmy Kimmel hurt Disney Plus, it did not. The Hulu rise came mostly from a deal with Charter that added the service to cable subscriptions. So that's where they were able to boost a bunch of subscribers. ESPN Unlimited contributed to driving the bundle sales. So people decided, oh, I want to add that ESPN service. Oh, I can add Disney Plus and Hulu on top of that? Sure, I'll do that too. Why not?
And when you think of that incredibly monstrously large subscription base, if you're trying to keep the mental map of who is where, am I remembering correctly that fueled by the popularity of cricket, an awful lot of them came in from Hotstar in India.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that
If
right?
you're doing the math, you're like, where did those other people come from?
Yeah.
It's probably from Cricket worldwide. Yeah. But that's why I wanted to give the U.S. numbers, because it's like, oh, you could have had a drop in the U.S. and still had a raise around the rest of the world. But you had a rise of 1.5 million in the U.S. You could argue that might have been bigger if it hadn't been for the Kimmel stuff. Like maybe they lost a few and didn't gain as many as they would have, but they still had a rise. Netflix launched its collection of party games you can play on a TV and use your phone as a controller. The first social games available are Lego Party, Boggle Party, Pictionary Game Night, Tetris Time Warp, and Party Crashers Fool Your Friends. They are available in some markets, a dozen or so around the world, under a Games tab, which will appear in the menu at the top of the Netflix TV app. The games will not show up, however, if you're using Apple TV. They historically have not had their interactive stuff work well on Apple TV because of the development environment, and that is also true this time. You'll need a Roku or a TV app or something like that.
How much pressure do you think that they were feeling behind the scenes? I mean, certainly there was time pressure to have this out in time for Thanksgiving holiday. This is going to be huge throughout the holidays as a thing for the family to do. I'm curious whether or not this is technically we hit the deadline and a lot of people don't have a great experience, or if behind the scenes they were saying, this is our coming out party, it's do or die. Let's make this an extraordinary thing that everybody associates and it becomes a tradition.
Yeah, I get the sense of the latter simply because this was leaked early. And leaks often happen because a company wants them to leak early so that they can get people all excited about them.
And these are also prestige brands.
Lego and Tetris and Boggle and
yeah.
I mean, yes, Boggle as a prestige brand is a funny thing to think about. Well, when you're talking about games, that's a big
compared to
deal.
what? I mean, it's like after that you get all the Jackbox games, which are excellent games, but they don't have the brand juggernaut status of Boggle.
Everyone in your family has heard of Tetris and Boggle and Lego, right?
Nobody has their mind jackboxed.
That's a very good point. U.S. Representative Darrell Issa sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney General expressing antitrust concerns over the possibility of Netflix acquiring HBO Max as part of any deal with Warner Brothers. Issa's letter raises the possibility of a combined Netflix and HBO Max getting more than 30% of the streaming market if you combine those two together, which makes me think, Netflix must be really serious about possibly buying HBO Max, or a congressperson isn't going to bother spending the time raising concerns about antitrust related to it.
Well, and I know we've talked about this before, but it always jackboxes my mind when I think about antitrust and related to play pretend shows, stories, right? They don't feel like real things, but it's like real money gets spent on them. And if somebody has 100% of that market, that's a problem.
And this is the kind of thing that can put Netflix at a disadvantage if they're in a bidding war against Paramount and Comcast. Netflix could probably outbid most of them, but Warner may look at it and say, yeah, but the antitrust hurdle is going to be higher. So if Comcast or Paramount can get close on the money, maybe that's a better deal because we'll be able to get approval for that. Now, Comcast is a bigger company, but Peacock is a smaller service. So you're not going to reach that 30% level that the representative is talking about here. Tubi is launching more exclusive content, but this time from digital creators. So there's a fantasy dinner party series, Escape the Night, Kev on Stage's comedy series, Safe Space, Bald Brothers, a freestyle comedy show co-starring comedian Tony Baker. These will premiere starting in early 2026. Rock Squad's vampire series, Bloodsuckers Origins, the One Shoes anthology series, Baby Shoe and Fwens, Big Jaws Laugh, and The Lesbian Homie, and Dan Ria's Till Drama Do Us Part. Netflix, bringing on creators. Spotify, bringing on creators. Tubi, bringing on creators. Everybody's trying to steal a little bit of YouTube's thunder.
Tom, if I could write Cord Killers, the movie, it would begin with a portal opening and the far-flung future. This would take place in 2010. We'd be doing frame rate, and all of a sudden a portal would open and a little bottle would come out, and when you pull it out, it'd be that sentence that you just spoke, and we would not know what to do with it. We would just know that that's what the future was.
Yeah. Honestly, everybody's tried to make YouTube stars, aka creators, come to their platform and be a success. I'm not saying these won't be a success, but every time they do, it turns out that people like watching them on YouTube for a reason. So I'm curious if this will be the time that breaks that pattern. Finally, Gary K. Wolfe, the creator of Roger Rabbit, in the novel Who Censored Roger Rabbit, on which the 1988 movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit was based, says he has regained full ownership to Roger and his other characters from Disney. I mean, he was getting paid by Disney. It's not like they stole it, but he now has the rights to use them however he wants. He doesn't need to get Disney's permission. Wolf told I'mNotBad.com that the reversion was accomplished because of a copyright law in the United States that lets authors petition to terminate a grant of copyright after 35 years. So no matter what agreement you sign, after 35 years, you can say, actually, I would like these rights back. Wolf says he now owns the sole right to make sequels and derivative works, and that Disney no longer has the right to create Roger Rabbit merchandise without cutting him in or getting his permission, basically. They can continue to stream the original movie and all of that because they own that.
It'll be interesting to see what happens next, because oftentimes these things happen because somebody realizes they can technically do a thing, and then they get it. They stole fire from the gods, and then they find out that if something is stealable, then it's the kind of thing that a god isn't even paying attention to for a reason.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of words to say. I'm always on the side of an independent creator. I'm always happy for somebody who owns and is passionate about his creation finally having the opportunity to run and fly free. I would be curious if all of a sudden he has an opportunity for an extortive payday from Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. It may not even be extortive. He may just be like, I would like you to continue to sell merchandise that has Roger Rabbit. So let me grant you a license for that to do it, which I retain ownership in the copyright. Right. And before, to get the movie made, he had to sign over a lot more rights. He could do a thing where like the rights are all mine. I'm just letting you make the merchandise and sell it, which would be a better thing for the author. All right, let's move on to the chatter.
Got mail.
Ander writes, I wanted to say thank you for helping me not look clueless in front of a customer yesterday. I love these kinds of emails. Ander says I was out driving with him and he was excitedly telling me about how he and his wife were leaving this week for BravoCon. He didn't give any other contextual clues, but I remembered you two talking about it on a podcast and that it was in Caesar's Palace. So I was able to easily show I knew what he was talking about, ask him what Bravo shows he and his wife were watching, and talk about what panels they were excited to see. He said I was the first person he'd talked to about it that knew what it was. I don't know how big of an influence that had, but I did make a sale. Thanks, guys.
Heck yeah, dude. I love the idea that there are all these secret languages just floating about. Congratulations, Andrew. That's fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of the things I love most about doing our shows, is when people go, oh, I found out about a thing that I didn't know about otherwise, and it was useful. So happy. We don't even want commission, Andrew. That's all you. We're just happy that you were able to make that sale.
Yeah, you know what? Give it to an independent creator of your choice at Cord Killers. At patreon.com/Cord Killers.
Bob writes, hi, Tom. I've added the Kindle book to my wish list. He's talking about Synced, my new book about technology, but I would really rather have a printed copy. When might that version be available? I enjoy you and Brian every week. Keep up the great work. Well, good news. I have approved the proof that I have in my hand right here. So it is possible for you to get it soon. I am waiting on them to approve distribution of it, and as soon as there is distribution, I will let you know. But hang in there, Bob. It is coming. Finally, John, regarding Taxi, which is our full experience that we'll be kicking off this week, wrote, you keep forgetting Mary Lou Henner. Bye-bye, John. Which is ironic, Brian, because Mary Lou Henner has an autobiographical memory. so she
really?
wouldn't forget us. But
That's
we keep
hilarious.
forgetting to mention her
Whoops.
when we mention all the few. Well, there's so many people on Taxi that Mary Lou Henner is not the only person that we have forgotten to mention. But thank you, John, for keeping her great memory in my memory. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live on twitch.tv/Night Attack and youtube.com/Modern Rogue on Tuesdays. Come join us, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time. Oh, I wish I was in the land of coffee. Is that where Brian went? He just had coffee right before the show. Did he get another coffee?
I redid the title to remind myself to update the credits today, and now I need to take a break to take my little puppy out.
Oh, go. Rue has to pee. We have just gotten to the point where our 1.5-year-old puppy didn't have to pee at a certain point that he used to always have to pee, and we were very excited because that meant that there's more time in a row that we can spend if we need to. So yeah, that's why you're looking at 2 empty plates. Amos is taking a puppy out to pee, and Brian is taking himself out to pee. Maybe. I don't know if he's peeing or not. We'll find out when he gets back, because he does listen as I yammer on to myself. How's everybody else? Did you get... Zoe has 3 coffee emojis. I did get more coffee, Zoe, since the last time we spoke earlier on my office hours stream. I had a double espresso, and it was delicious. I had a little chocolate with it, too. Little Alter Echo chocolate. Oh, G. James B., you want to know how to spell Rue's name? It's R-U-E. R-U-E is Amos's new little puppy. I don't, Mukau. I don't pee. It's a giveaway that I'm actually a virtual character. Sorry about that. Willie Scott had a caffeinated beverage. That was a quick pee, Rue. Wow. Good girl.
Yeah, she's really picked up on it pretty good. So
Yeah, that's great.
But
She's like, oh, I'm here? Great.
when it's right at the freezing level, she's not too fond of hanging out.
She does want to stay out there.
No.
That's good. Not too much winter dog in her then, I guess.
Her undercoat finally started coming in. So
Yeah.
as a German Shepherd, they got the double coat, but her undercoat hadn't come in, so she was rightfully cold.
Chilly, yeah.
Yeah,
No
so
kidding.
it's just starting to come in. She's just going from a cute little puppy to a full-blown furball.
Oh,
So
good girl.
Dun dun dun.
Did you pee, Brian? We
I
all
did,
wondered.
and I finished. I'll just leave it like that.
good girl.
And then,
Good.
I was waiting on my coffee and listening to you guys talk about it. Oh, look at Rue.
Hi, puppy.
Yeah,
Everybody loves
what a cutie.
little puppy with the very sharp claws.
She's like, no.
We had we got a strategic coordinator joining the team, and who I believe you spoke to. And, there was a moment when casually, it's like, oh, Bonnie's coming by with the dog. How are you with dogs? She's like, love them, and instantly fell for joy. I'm like, this is a good fit.
Yeah.
We're in a good spot.
Yeah, I know that feeling. We're like, ooh, I don't want to put you in a weird place if you don't like dogs. And then someone's like, love dogs. You're like, oh, thank goodness.
And like, just one more proviso. Does the dog love you?
Right? Yeah.
And that was definitely
And?
the case. Joy's
good.
gotten, so she got past the delayed socialization of COVID,
Okay. Yeah.
but especially with the neutral territory of HQ, she's super, super good.
That's great.
I've had Rue for not quite 3 weeks. We've got sit down pretty well. We've got kennel. We've got bed. We've got break. And she's down to just one potty break at night. So if we go to bed about 10 o'clock, she'll last till about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's
before
good.
she'll wake me
Yeah.
up to go.
Amos, there was one time that we paid a dog trainer. Actually, we did a couple of laps with him because he was so good. Out of everything he gave, every single pup I've had since then, the most important thing is, do you ever play Leave It, Take It? Where basically it's all it is you start with a piece of food and you're holding it and they want to go and you have it under your control. You're like, leave it. And you got to watch them exercise self-control. And it's like, take it. And then it starts off as a dance this close and then it gets farther. And then eventually you're setting it down. Then you're setting it down and walking away. Then you're setting it on the paw or whatever. And it's like just that understanding of the job of self-control. And then, the big thing he said is dogs always want a job, always want a job, even if it's to exercise a little patience before they eat.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I've got her. When we go upstairs and it's dinner time, because we eat at 8, noon, and 6. If it's one of those 3 times, she's gotten in the habit of going upstairs to the kitchen, the dining room, and we have a blanket laying down next to my seat at the table. And she'll go and she'll sit there and she'll bed on there. She'll go and lay down on that spot and just wait for me to put the food in there until her break. So, this little things like that, man, makes my life so much easier. I'm really working on this house training thing. Like she's almost got it down. Like she just needs to, she actually has the signal down, but we got our back door replaced yesterday, and the signal, which is the bells that hang on the handle, don't fit through the new handle, so I got to find some new bells. But before that, she was going down and hitting the bells when she had to go potty and everything else. Like it took about 2 weeks for her to start like doing anything. But this last week has been amazing. She's gone from screw you, just give me food, to you want me to do this now? Okay, got it.
that's a sassy puppy.
It's our first female dog too, so I don't know.
Yeah, she seems pretty calm for a puppy too, from some of the things you've said. Not all the time, I'm sure, but
a lot of that is limiting exposure to things. So one of the things,
a lot of that is the pot you give her. I know.
Yeah,
The doggy dispensary.
I wish. No, it's we only play with her rough with a few toys, and it's only with that toy. Like we don't play with our hands or anything else. We keep it to that. And she gets the zoomies about 8 o'clock every night. And at that time, we let her have all the energy and all the fun she wants to have but that lasts about a half an hour. And then she's out for like the night.
Yeah.
But she knows that she's gotten to know that that's when she can do all the fun things and everything else. Or if I take her out into the yard, like, we got a little fenced off area for her to pee and poop during the since we don't have a full fenced in backyard, we got a small area. But once I go beyond that, the little second gate, I go through there into the main yard. And she knows when she gets out there, she can start running around and playing and stuff like that too. So she's learning that stuff really quickly, which is really great because other than waking me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go pee, she's really not much of a hassle anymore at all.
That's great.
Most of the puppy stuff's gone.
That's great.
So
I hate you, but that's great.
That escalated quickly.
Well, Tom's going through his first puppy, and this is my third in 15 years. So
Well, it also just depends on the puppy too, right?
this is true.
Yeah, they're all different.
Yeah. My last dog, Kai, he was aggressively obedient. So
I'm sorry. Unpack that sentence for me.
It means he did what you said, but he bit you.
No,
He's like, hey, why'd you give me an order, boss? Good. I guess I'll follow it.
yeah, it was like one of our commands is bed, right? Wherever we are, we have something to tokenize as a bed, whether it's a blanket or an actual like small dog bed or whatever. So I would say, I'd be in the kitchen. His bed was all the way into like another room. We'd be like, Kai, bed. And not any level of force or anything else. Just say that, Kai, bed. And he would like actively, like he'd push you out of the way to get to his bed. Like he was not dallying or anything else. He'd be like, oh, I got a bed right now. I got to be on my bed. And he'd go and he'd sit down and he'd just look and wait. Mm-hmm. And he would sit there. The longest he ever sat there was about an hour. We had him waiting an hour before we told him break, and he came off the bed. He sat there and watched us the entire time. Not whining, not doing anything else, just waiting for us to give him the command to break.
That's
And of course, we gave him a nice big treat after the end
obedience.
of that. So, what was that?
I said, that's aggressive obedience. We should do a show.
We should.
Well, then I'll disappear and we can do a show.
Welcome, my friends, to the full experience. This is a journey through only 4 episodes of a TV series in order to see if we can pretty much operate as if we saw the entire run. And we are beginning our journey through the TV show Taxi, starting with the first episode. We do the first, we do the ultimate, which is the one with the biggest rating on IMDb. We do the lowest rating on IMDb, and we do the last episode. Those are the 4 episodes. The first episode is Like Father, Like Daughter, which first aired on September 12th, 1978. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. And unlike our previous full experience watch, Speed Racer, this is not some satanic devil worshipping show. No, Judd Hirsch is not a demon on wheels.
It is not. It is animated only by facial expressions, right?
That's correct.
Few things that caught my eye when I turned this on is that Judd Hirsch was the main star. I think we forget now, because there's so many people that went on to be big stars, that this was Judd Hirsch plus all these other people you've never heard of before, like Danny DeVito, who looks crazy young in this. He kind of always looks the same through most of his career, but I'm like, no, he actually looks young here. Tony Danza, right off the top. And of course, the list goes on. Andy Kaufman, and who's the person we're not supposed to forget? Mary Lou Henner. Yeah.
Danny DeVito.
This was a enjoyable watch for me, given that it was from 1978. What about you?
Did you have, I was a bit surprised that it took a good 3 minutes in before Amazon stopped playing at 240p. It was super duper pixely, and I was like, is this the only translation of this we have?
That sounds like an internet. That sounds like a transitory internet streaming issue of some sort.
I didn't know if it was.
I did not have that experience.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. I was worried, and then it got really good. And then I became fascinated by production vision, as I am wont to do. I found out a few things. This was a pioneering show, Tom, in that
yes,
they at a time, this is at the same time as all the Norman Lear shows, which had made the move to videotape. And on video, there are certain camera moves that are limiting. But in this case, because this was shot on film, I think you were able to tell it was shot on film.
Yeah.
They were
That
able
was
to
one of
get
the things I
that
noticed.
shallow depth of field. They had not 3, but 4 35 millimeter silent projectors, or not projectors, cameras in there. Here's a question. Was that did you, or let me ask you, laugh track or live audience?
Laugh track.
Live audience. I
Was
thought
it
the
really?
exact same thing. Yeah, it was a live audience of 200 to 300 people. And
I guess if I'd watched it then, it would have said the following was filmed before a live studio audience, but I didn't hear that. So
I don't know if maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know if it was a selling point one way or the other. They would, of course, sweeten the audio to maybe sell a joke that didn't land, but it was recorded in front of an audience. They would do just a couple, two or three, go through.
I didn't have a strong feeling one way or the other, but I kind of felt like I noticed the audience laughing at a time that I didn't think they really would have laughed. But I guess they did. I was wrong about the audience. That's interesting.
The one moment that took me out and got me starting on this chain was the reaction to the thank you very much Andy Kaufman thing. I didn't it was an outsized reaction to, if you're not already familiar with Andy Kaufman and that character, if you hadn't been watching late night television and seen him around on broadcast TV, it's really not a joke, and it didn't warrant the outsized reaction that it got. And then up until that moment, I had figured it was very laugh tracky.
Yeah, I think that may have been the moment that made me think it was laugh tracky, because I was like, oh, the audience wouldn't have laughed that hard at that. They must have made it a laugh track. So yeah, that is interesting. What did you think of this story? And the way they set up, they kind of slowly introduce you to the world of the taxi. This is where we're going to spend most of our time, with Danny DeVito yelling out orders, and you've got the introduction of like, oh, none of these people are cab drivers. We're all doing part-time things. It's a cast of kooky characters.
I loved that they delayed saying that. I think in a lesser version of the script, they would have said that right at the beginning, or they would have had a character come in and say, oh, these guys, what, are you kidding me? Look, you got a blank. But instead, they let us live with them a bit. Number one, Tony Danza, way too fit. Holy moly, was he a piece?
I know, right?
Look at that guy. Second of all, other dude who's an actor who I guess didn't go on to be super famous. I don't remember.
The Equus guy?
Yes, exactly. That's all I noticed as well, because you and I have an affinity for Equus because you, in an alternate timeline, started it.
Yes, that's right. Go look it up, folks. You'll find it on the internet.
There was a bunch of artifacts of its time, two of which were primary plot devices. One was the idea of a phone where you could call anywhere for free was so magical that it drove the entire story. And people, we saw it was a Genie episode, right? Genie pops out and says, you can connect to anyone on the planet. Who do you do? We see a frivolous one, we see a smart one, and then we see a thoughtful one, which reveals the second artifact of the time. Because nowadays, the idea of being genetically someone's father and just, oh, shucks, I wonder whatever happened to that kid that I created. That was so insane that 50 years ago, this plot made sense. But I kind of loved seeing it as that.
Wait, explain that to me again. You think that was more common, or wouldn't fly it would be treated differently or something?
I think that both. There was no 23andMe. There was no DNA matching. There was no you are the father. There was after a divorce, and it's written into this episode where it says, if you care about your daughter, you'll never talk to her. And he violates that now that she's an adult.
Right.
That seems so incongruent with 2025. But because
we would have had a story about him being, we would have done more about the you're a jerk stuff in the modern day. I'm just trying to connect the pieces here.
Nowadays, there would be, even if you know somebody's name, you can follow them on social media. You can know about them.
Right. The cutoff could not have been as clean, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the casualness with which it's like, oh, I'm your father. Oh, that's neat. I guess. Hi, what are you like? And it's almost like a I don't know, a party trivia thing, what have you. Also,
I don't think that was representative of the time. I feel like that was representative of the plot, because this would have been a shocking story in 1978 that someone would have divorced. First of all, that's still not a regular thing that polite society enjoys. And then to have been a father who agreed to be cut off from his daughter and then reintroduced to the daughter would have been a little more shocked, a little more blown away. But I think they wanted to play it down. I think overall, my thing with this is like, that's your pilot story.
Yeah.
It's
spicy.
This is a heavy story. Yeah.
Well, and also, just as cut and as fit as Tony Danza was introduced, we're seeing the very beginning of a very long career of being beleaguered from Judd Hirsch. Every character, this is the youngest and handsomest this beleaguered old coot got at this point.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, like, how many roles was he into at this point in his career?
Well, here, while you're looking that up, I'll share a couple other tidbits that I found out.
It's not going to take me long. He was in Rhoda before this.
Okay.
And he was in The Law, Serpico. He was in the movie Serpico.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. Legend of Valentino. So Rhoda was kind of his big break, and this is where he got a title role.
Yeah. I liked
He was in
it.
Ordinary People too, the movie. Wow.
I liked it a lot. It was strangely thoughtful. Shouts
Very
out,
thoughtful.
Shouts out to I don't know. They steal a spaceship and just teleport down to Florida. 5 of them in a cab, like it's nothing. that was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, like driving from New York to Miami is just like, we'll do
As
we'll
one
do
does.
that this morning. Yeah,
Well,
all
and
5
also
of them,
it's-
like you said.
Yeah, 5 of them.
I have a few notes here. Like he had the number of the National Theatre of London, like just memorized so that he could, I guess he asked the operator for it, but the poker coffee cups, those are still around here and there, but they're rarer than they used to. I used to love those at a job I had, where you get the little poker thing at the bottom of the coffee cup. And then of course, not as big of an anachronism as the phone, but they go to the airport and just walk up to the gate.
I
as
thought I
one
noticed that
does.
as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, boarding is happening and you're like, yeah, let me talk to you in the line to boarding. Here's my driver's license while I'm at the airport at the gate on a flight I'm not taking. Just keep it. I'll get another one. Even though I'm a cab driver, not a big deal. Yeah. I don't know how unbelievable that was in 1978, but it's entirely unbelievable now.
Unbelievable. Now, did you notice that everyone had a shine?
A shine?
Yes, to their
No, I
to their
didn't.
skin. That is another artifact of the fact that they shot on film. In order to get those lighting conditions, to get proper exposure, they had to have just a massive amount of light. So everybody had a sweat sheen across their head. There was one dude, they cut away from it pretty quick, giant classic pit stains all across, just actively sweating.
I mean, there are taxi drivers in New York. Too,
Well, that's true.
The pit stains could have just been written off as like, yeah, come on, it's a cab driver. What do you do?
Well, it's funny though, because we have those skewed memories where when I think back to my childhood, I'm like, I guess everyone was just sweaty, but it's like, no, the things that you watched required very hot lights that caused them to over-index for. I have overly indexed for sweaty memories, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I found this really enjoyable. I actually turned it on to make sure it showed up in my previously watched and watched the entire thing. I didn't intend to. I was just going to let it play a little bit so that it knew I wanted to watch it later. And I had enough time and got sucked in. I was like, yeah, this is pretty enjoyable. I'm liking this. Turns out Taxi is well regarded for a reason, I think.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what else there is to read into it. It was fine as a pilot episode, I thought.
Absolutely.
But
also, going back to the airport, no boarding agent. Did you notice that? They're just walking on. Nobody checking tickets.
Get
or
on the
anything.
bus.
Yeah, that I know they did. They did check your ticket before you got on the bus back then. Amos, did you get a chance to watch the episode of Taxi? And if so, do you have thoughts about it?
I did, and I would say, without repeating too much, the only thing that really struck me as awkward was this is the slowest roll of a pilot episode I remember. It didn't feel like a pilot. It just felt like, I mean, they went through and introduced everybody gradually and got to know them, but it didn't feel like they were doing that. It didn't feel spoon-fed like a normal pilot would. It just kind of felt like an episode. It just felt like a normal episode.
The one moment, I guess 2 moments that felt forced is you get the archetype of the starry-eyed farm kid coming in and the woman, for lack of a better word,
Mary Lou Henner.
Yeah. But like those felt like, don't forget to make them say something.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to go with a woman cab driver, but there were like a couple of extras that were women cab drivers already. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of refreshing for 1978 that her story isn't just that she's a woman driving a cab. They are going to include that as part of her story, but her story is going to be like, well, I'm only doing this for a short period. And they're like, yeah, that's what everybody is doing.
Yeah.
So,
and it was a fairly upscale other gig that she had. What was it, like a museum curator or something?
yeah, a docent,
yeah.
I think, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what she says it was. Suppose we'll find out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, we are going to jump all the way to season 2 for our next episode. That is the ultimate, highest rated episode, Reverend Jim, A Space Odyssey, from 1979, season 2, episode 3. So if you would like to watch along with us, go look up Reverend Jim, A Space Odyssey. That is the highest rated title of Taxi.
Before we watch it, Tom, do you know what this episode is about? My fog cloud, for some reason, I want to say like Andy Kaufman gets bonked on the head and becomes a wildly different version of Latka or something.
I remember that I remember who Reverend Jim is, and we did not meet him in the pilot. That is all I know about this. I don't know what the Space Odyssey part is.
Okay, Pete.
Do you remember who Reverend Jim is in Taxi lore?
I do not.
Do you want to know ahead of time, or would you rather just discover when you watch?
If it's an early surprise, go ahead and give it to me now.
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool. So is this maybe this is his premiere?
I don't think it's his premiere. I think it's just we've met Reverend Jim now in the course of watching Taxi, and this episode is his Space Odyssey for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Wikipedia shows that he was a guest in a few episodes in the first season, and then became a regular in the second season.
Yeah, and I guess this is the 3rd episode of the season, so he's only been a regular for 1 or 2 episodes at this point. Pete says it's his 2nd episode as a regular. So there you go. 203, Reverend Jim, A Space Odyssey. First aired September 25th, 1979. You get these earlier, and you get to have a little fly on the wall, listen to our conversations about how we pick which series we do. And you even get a voice in picking those series if you're a patron. So go become a patron right now. Patreon.com/cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Well, there. Shall we say goodbye to the live folks?
Goodbye to the live folks.
We're going to a better place.
We're going upstate to a farm.
Acres and acres.
I don't know if I'm doing any of that. Bye.